Hey guys, it's Miki ASMR here, and I'm going to be reading a Yamaguchi X Listener. This is part 2 in the series Kisses, because there's multiple characters that they wrote for this. So yeah, this video was requested by somebody named Silent Voice, so thank you so much for requesting this video. Also, I wanted to celebrate that I got my first dislike on a YouTube video. I'm kind of surprised that it took this long to get a dislike, but I mean, I got one, so that's awesome. So people feel the need to dislike my content, which is kind of cool, not gonna lie. Anyways, yeah, let's read this. Okay. He had made up his mind before the party had even started. Tadashi Yamaguchi was going to confess his feelings for you that night. He wasn't going to lose his nerve at the last minute, like the previous times he had almost told you. He wasn't going to talk himself into believing that he wasn't cool enough to ask you out, even if it turned out that you had feelings for someone else, or you didn't see him in that way, or you liked his best friend, as Hinata had suggested. Even then, he would go for it. Yamaguchi was going to tell you that he loved you. Well, he would tell you that he definitely liked you as way more than a friend. He hadn't really mentioned it to anyone before, and he was dying to do so. Specifically, he had intended to tell Suki, but before he could, Hinata had made a stupid observation. After school one afternoon, in the clubroom, Daichi asked why Tsukishima wasn't with Yamaguchi. Because a girl stopped him after class, Hinata said, looking scandalized. Everyone, including Tadashi, was suddenly very interested in the details. Hinata continued, "It was a girl I've seen hanging around with him a lot after school these days. What's her name? She's in your class, Yamaguchi. The one with blank-colored hair and blank-colored eyes." Yamaguchi's heart caught for a moment when he heard your name, hoping that Hinata would say no. "Yes, that's the one. She talks to him nearly every day for a couple of weeks now. Haven't you noticed?" He hadn't. How could it be that he hadn't noticed it once? "Although I don't see what she could possibly like about Tsukishima, except maybe his height," Hinata grumbled. "He's so... ugh. And she's so sparkly and... you know?" Surprisingly, Yamaguchi did know. For once, he knew exactly what Hinata meant, even though the boy had basically described you with a heavy and dreamy sigh. Karasuno's pinch server didn't realize before that you even knew his friend well. You didn't exactly talk to the middle blocker in class, as far as he had noticed. You had spent a lot of time with Tadashi, however. You always asked him about his weekends, or upcoming games, or practices, or if he had a chance to actually play. He loved that, how you never seemed bored by his stories. Even when he hadn't played a large part in the event, you'd somehow managed to make him feel like he had. Like he was just important and critical to the rest of the team's success in the other first years. If things during a game or practice had gone badly for the freckled-faced boy, he seemed to have a knack at knowing just how to get him out of his rotten mood, whether it be kind words of encouragement, flattery, or even a stern scolding to get out of his own way. He always left talks with you feeling much more confident. Could you really be interested in Tsukishima? It had never really crossed his mind before, but certainly it wouldn't be the first time. Girls always seemed to flock to the tall, blonde, brooding friend, and even Yamaguchi could see what girls were attracted to him, or why girls were attracted to him. Of course, they quickly discovered that he was uninterested in much outside of music and volleyball, and none seemed to make it past a confession. If you and Suki were hanging out, was it really because you were dating? Tadashi couldn't help but think that if that was the case, he would be heartbroken. After you spent several days acting normally in class, he had almost convinced himself that Hinata had imagined the whole thing. That is, until the afternoon in the clubroom. Tsukishima bluntly asked his friends, "So what do you think about that full name girl that you sit in front of in class?" It caught him off guard, and he hoped that his response had come quickly enough to not give him away. "What do you mean? What do I think of her?" Tsukishima groaned while pulling on his kneecaps, clearly embarrassed Clearly, it was an embarrassing topic. You know, like, do you think she's cute, or would she make a good girlfriend? Yamaguchi almost choked on a sip of water that he had taken. Girlfriend? Suki, I've never heard you talk about that kind of stuff. What do you want to know? Did she confess to you or something? Not exactly, he responded vaguely. Just answer the questions. This is getting annoying. Why did it matter what Yamaguchi thought? Unless Suki must really be into you if he was asking for Yamaguchi's opinion. He must not have wanted to mess it up and needed encouragement from his friend. It hurt, but he also felt like he couldn't stand in the way if she was someone that was truly important to his best friend, he answered. I think she's cute and smart and pretty funny too. She'd probably make a great girlfriend, so don't be shy about it, Suki. Huh? His friend wondered loudly, snapping his sports glasses into place. What are you talking about? Why would I ever go out with her? You know I've got way better ways to spend my time than getting infatuated with some girl right now. Yamaguchi was confused and he stared into space blankly as his friend wandered off to the last practice of the school year. Was Tsukishima embarrassed? Is that why he got snippy about it? He was one who brought up the subject in the first place, so why was it such a stretch for Yamaguchi to think that's where this conversation was going? He spent the next several days thinking about it, and decided that maybe if you had confessed and Tsukishima was still trying to figure out if he wanted a relationship with you, or worse, had to turn you down, maybe you wouldn't want to even talk to him anymore if he had reminded you too much about Tsukishima. In the remaining time before the party the coach had organized, Yamaguchi came up with his own plan, and he'd worked all year on becoming braver to achieve his goal. Suki was like a brother to him, and he admired him greatly, but he seemed unsure when it came to you. Tadashi wasn't unsure at all. He wanted to date you. He wanted to hold your hand and take you to fun places and laugh with you and kiss you. He wanted that more than anything, and he couldn't be a coward with those feelings. While he still had a fair chance, he was going to be honest with you, and if you rejected him in favor of Tsukishima, at least he would know that he gave his best and could hold his head high. During the middle of the big party, Yamaguchi had approached you. He looked so nervous when he asked you if you wanted to go to the roof with him for a minute, and you agreed. Like he hadn't expected a yes. In an elevator, you were a little bit worried that he might pass out, but he made it. Now that the two of you were alone in the early evening air, he seemed to almost forgotten about what he wanted to talk to you about. Is there something you wanted to say to me, Tadashi? He prompted, hoping upon hope it was what it looked like. Yes, I thought you should know. He buried his face in his hands as you heard him mutter something. Anxiety attacks. You felt for him and put one hand on a part of him. There was also a side that you found so dear. You patiently waited, offering a tentative smile. He took a deep breath and admired how handsome he looked that evening. His gorgeous wide almond-shaped eyes looked so earnest, and his cowlick was on the other side. As usual, his black slacks looked nice, and the blue light sports jacket over a crisp white shirt, which he had worn, leaving a few buttons undone. You found that to be the most distracting of all, because even more with his adorable freckles showing. He smiled more proudly and gave his shoulder an encouraging squeeze. Am I really that terrifying, you asked? No, that's not it, he said firmly, trying to mumble to himself. You can do this, before taking another fortifying breath and standing as tall as he could manage. First name, the thing is, his voice squeaked. He cleared his throat and tried again. The thing is, I really enjoyed this school year, mostly because I spent so much of it in class with you. Your chest tightened, and you tried not to show how excited you were. I like spending time with you, first name. I think you're really kind and funny and pretty. The last word trailed off, almost under his breath as he avoided eye contact for a moment. It was almost too cute for you to handle, the way he was affecting you. Then he said something that really took you by surprise. I get why girls are usually into Tsukushima, and I know I might not be as cool or as smart as he is, and that usually doesn't bother me. This time, though, I won't let that go down. I won't go down without a fight. He looked completely resolved as you looked completely puzzled. Going on, he said, Suki is really important to me, and he's my best friend, but I need to do this so I don't have any regrets. I have my pride, and even if it's no use, at least I know that I didn't cowardly hide away my feelings. There's no way he could feel the way I feel about you. There's no way he could like you as much as I do. So please consider choosing me instead. The last part was said somewhat louder than the rest, and his eyes were squeezed shut as he somewhat bowed his head in your direction. Wait, I'm confused. You responded as he looked into your eyes again. Worry echoed in his face. Did you just confess that you like me, Tadashi? Yes, he said, taking a step closer to you. Yes, I like you, first name. So what does Tsukushima have to do with this? You questioned, genuinely lost. You two were spending a lot of time together, and he asked questions about you, about dating you. Didn't you confess to him? Now he was the one who looked lost, and you couldn't help but let out a laugh. No, of course not. That's crazy. I thought I was being obvious that the boy I like was you. I only ever talked to you in class, and I waited for you when you didn't have practice, and I even went to some of your games. I signed up to be the manager with Hitaka, just because you were on the team, you admitted, blushing furiously. Where did you even get the impression that I liked Tsukushima? Hinata? He managed, in my overactive self-consciousness, I guess. The reason I was following Tsukushima around was because I wanted to find out more about you, and he had a lot of good things to say about you since you were his best friend. You smiled. I asked him if he would help me find out if I had a chance. Sorry if I worried you. Stepping close enough that you had to tilt your neck up to see his face, you said, Let me make it clear. I like you, Tadashi. I've liked you all year, and I just didn't have the courage to admit it. But I've said it now. I really like you. The pair of you were blushing so much that it was obvious even in the low light of the roof. Then he stated softly, taking your hand with his slightly shaking ones, Would you be my girlfriend? Please, take care of me from now on, Tadashi, he replied with a grin. The two of you laughed awkwardly as he suggested to go back to the party, even though you weren't really interested anymore. He led you by the hand to the door of the hotel roof, but then stopped once his hand was on the handle. What is it? You asked, worried that he might be declining it as a mistake. Would you... He turned his face before facing you. Would it be alright if I kissed you? He asked quietly. Your stomach nodded as you nodded silently. Yamaguchi ran the backs of his fingers across your cheek, then slid the rest of them to your hair. Then tangling it in your hair. He smiled as he studied your face, gently stroking your cheek with his thumb. Flicking his tongue out to moisten his lips quickly, he placed a free hand on your hip and used the other one to tilt your head upwards towards his, causing a hairbreadth away. You took an anxious, stuttering breath and closed the gap between yourself, timidly brushing your lips with his. He sighed against your mouth and deepened the kiss smoothly. His lips were soft and surprisingly more bold and certain than yours. When he pulled back, he rested his forehead on yours and whispered, Wow. Smiling, you said, I've been picturing this moment for a long time. Me too. Tadashi? He hummed out, eyes closed and body relaxed. Kiss me again, you said, giving a short laugh. He was all too happy to oblige, this time a little bit more fervently. It felt so exceptional being held against him, the way you quickly got carried away, trailing, lingering, hungry kisses down the line of his throat, causing him to gasp rather deliciously. He responded by flicking his tongue in your ear, earning him an audibly pleasurable gasp. In response, he held you against him and tangled your hand in his dark brown hair, pulling yourself up to kiss him on the lips, cheek, chin, and everywhere else you could reach. It felt amazing. Finally, you pulled back. The two of you were breathing hard. The look on his face couldn't have been more perfect. He absent-mindedly reached up to straighten his hair and ran his tongue across the corner of his lip, tasting where your kisses had just been. Yamaguchi's dark brown eyes appeared almost proud as he stared at you and bit back the corner of his mouth. That was, you stated, only to be interrupted with one quick peck to your lips. That was perfect, he finished for you. You nodded and then laughed at the smears of your lipstick covering his face and neck. After cleaning it, the best you could manage, the two of you headed back to the party. On the way downstairs, Tadashi grabbed your hand, kissed your cheek, and gave you that brilliant smile of his that melted you. I hope you don't mind if I brag a little about having you for my girlfriend. Not if you don't mind that I brag a lot about having you for my boyfriend. You responded, giving him another peck on the back of his hand. Neither of you can contain the size of your smiles as you made your way back to the dance hall that night. Both welcoming stares and questions for the rest of the guests. I messed up a lot on that one. I think it's just because it's like late at night. I don't know, my brain is kind of shutting off. So I made way too many mistakes on that, and I hope that didn't bother you guys. The story was mad cute. Sometimes I forget how much I love Yamaguchi, because damn, that bitch is cute as hell. Anyways, Yamaguchi is so cute, and I found a few more Yamaguchi ex-listeners, so I think I might do more if you guys want to hear more. Hopefully I won't be stuttering as much as I did in this one, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is gonna be my last upload for today because I need to go to sleep. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you have any other characters you want me to do, comment them down below and I will definitely do them as soon as possible for you guys. I also have school tomorrow, so I won't be uploading as much as I did. It'll probably only be like 1 or 2 videos tomorrow because I do have in-person school. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you guys enjoyed the content, and goodbye.